The studio lights of the Oprah Winfrey Show sparkled like diamonds against the polished floor, casting their familiar golden glow across the sea of expectant faces. It was another Tuesday afternoon in Chicago, and the energy in the room was electric with possibility. Audience members chatted excitedly, sharing stories about their journeys to be here, their hopes for what they might witness or experience. The production crew moved with practiced precision, adjusting cameras and checking sound levels for what promised to be another inspiring episode. Sound technicians tested microphones with the methodical attention of professionals who had orchestrated thousands of such moments. Lighting specialists made final adjustments to ensure every angle would capture the warmth and intimacy that had made this show a cultural phenomenon. But in the third row, center section, something extraordinary was quietly unfolding. 8-year-old Maya Chen sat nestled between her parents, David and Lisa, her small frame almost lost in the plush studio seating. What made Maya's presence remarkable wasn't just her age. Children were occasional guests on the show, but the delicate pink scarf wrapped carefully around her head, covering what chemotherapy had taken away. Her dark eyes, though sunken from months of treatment, still held the unmistakable spark of childhood wonder. They reflected the studio lights like tiny stars, betraying both the innocence of youth and the premature wisdom that comes from facing mortality before learning to tie your shoes properly. Maya wore her favorite dress, a bright yellow sundress with tiny sunflowers embroidered along the hem. It was the same dress she had worn to her last birthday party, back when her hair fell in glossy black waves to her shoulders, back when cancer was just a word she heard on television, not a reality that had reshaped her entire world. The dress was looser now, hanging on her diminished frame like a cheerful tent. But she had insisted on wearing it today because, as she had told her mother that morning, with the serious tone that 8-year-olds reserve for their most important announcements, "It's my birthday dress, and today is my birthday." The sunflowers seemed to glow under the studio lights, as if they were real flowers reaching toward the artificial sun of television production. Lisa Chen kept glancing at her daughter, marveling at Maya's excitement, despite everything they had endured over the past 18 months. The diagnosis had come on a rainy Thursday in September, delivered by Doc Harrison, with the kind of gentle precision that pediatric oncologists master out of necessity. The surgery followed 2 weeks later, then the endless rounds of chemotherapy that left Maya exhausted and nauseated. The nights spent in hospital rooms while Maya slept fitfully under harsh fluorescent lights. Through it all, Maya had maintained a resilience that both inspired and broke her mother's heart. She had named her IV pole Giraffe because of its long neck. She had made friends with every nurse on the pediatric wing. She had turned each treatment into a small adventure, asking questions about the medicine, drawing pictures for the doctors, treating her bald head like a canvas for the colorful scarves that well-meaning relatives sent in abundance. David Chen held his wife's hand tightly, his thumb tracing circles on her palm, in a gesture that had become their silent language of support. As a software engineer, he was used to solving problems with logic and systematic thinking. Code was predictable. Input led to output, debug the system, and find the solution. But cancer didn't respond to algorithms or systematic approaches. It demanded something else entirely: faith, hope, and the kind of strength he wasn't sure he possessed, until he watched his 8-year-old daughter face each day with courage that humbled him. He had taken a leave of absence from his job at the tech startup, using every day of accumulated vacation and sick leave to be present for treatments, appointments, and the countless small moments that suddenly felt infinitely precious. The show was in full swing. Oprah moved across the stage with her characteristic grace, interviewing Dr. Rebecca Martinez, a renowned psychologist whose new book explored the healing power of celebrating life's small moments. The conversation was engaging, filled with insights about finding joy, even in the darkest circumstances, about the importance of marking milestones and creating meaning from everyday experiences. Martinez spoke with the quiet authority of someone who had spent decades studying human resilience, her voice carrying the weight of research, combined with genuine compassion for those who struggled to find light in their darkest hours. What people don't realize, Dr. Martinez was saying, her hands gesturing expressively as she made her point, is that celebration isn't frivolous. It's essential to the human spirit. When we acknowledge what matters, birthdays, achievements, even small victories, we're affirming life itself. We're declaring that existence has meaning, that our presence here matters, that the moments we share with others create a tapestry of significance that transcends individual experience. Maya listened intently, though she didn't understand all the complex words. What she did understand was that today, February 14th, was her ninth birthday. What made this birthday different from all her others wasn't just that she was spending it in Oprah's studio, though that was pretty amazing, but that for the first time in 18 months, her latest test results had shown no new cancer growth. Her oncologist, Dr. Harrison, had used words like stable and encouraging response, words that made her parents cry happy tears and hold her so tightly she could barely breathe. The medical terminology meant little to Maya, but she understood that her parents were happier than they had been in a very long time. During the commercial break, Oprah walked into the audience as she often did, connecting with people, sharing brief moments of warmth and recognition. She moved through the rows with the easy confidence of someone who had done this thousands of times, but also with genuine curiosity about the people who came to be part of her show. Each interaction was brief, but meaningful. A compliment on someone's outfit, a question about their journey to Chicago, a moment of eye contact that made each person feel seen and valued. This was the skill that had made her one of the most beloved figures in American media, the ability to make every person feel like they were the only person in the room. She was making her way through the third row when she noticed Maya. Something about the child's posture, the careful way she held herself, caught Oprah's attention. Maya sat very straight, her hands folded politely in her lap. But there was an energy radiating from her, a barely contained excitement that seemed to pulse in rhythm with the studio lights. While other audience members checked their phones during the break or chatted with their neighbors, Maya remained focused on the stage, as if she were absorbing every detail of this moment for later recall. "Hello there, beautiful," Oprah said, kneeling beside Maya's seat. The burgundy fabric of her dress pulled elegantly around her as she settled into position. The pink scarf was lovely, but Oprah's trained eye immediately understood what it concealed. She had interviewed enough cancer patients and survivors to recognize the telltale signs, the slight pallor that came from months of treatment, the careful movements that spoke of a body that had been through trauma, the way Maya's parents flanked her protectively, their posture radiating both fierce love and barely controlled anxiety. "Hi, Miss Oprah," Maya said, her voice clear but soft. "I know who you are. My mama watches your show every day while I'm getting my medicine. She says you help people feel better about their lives." The simple honesty of the statement hit Oprah directly in the heart. Getting your medicine was such an innocent way to describe chemotherapy. Yet it spoke volumes about how this family had chosen to frame Maya's experience. There was no victim mentality here, no dwelling on the unfairness of childhood cancer. Instead, there was acceptance, hope, and the kind of matter-of-fact courage that children sometimes possess in abundance. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Maya Chen. And today is my birthday." The announcement came with the kind of pure joy that only children possess, untainted by the complexity of adult emotions or the weight of medical prognosis. Maya's face lit up as she shared this information, as if her birthday were a gift she was giving to everyone around her, rather than something she expected to receive. "It's your birthday?" Oprah's face lit up with genuine delight. the kind of authentic response that had endeared her to millions of viewers over the decades. How old are you today? 9 years old, Maya said, holding up 9 fingers with the precision of someone who wanted to make absolutely sure her message was clear. My mama made me a cake this morning before we came here, but we couldn't bring it on the airplane because it was too big and the security people might think it was suspicious. Lisa Chen leaned forward, her eyes already misting with the tears that seemed to hover perpetually just below the surface these days. We weren't sure we should mention it, she said quietly, her voice carrying the hesitation of someone who had learned to be careful about drawing attention to her family's situation. We didn't want to interrupt anything or make a scene. We just wanted Maya to have a special day. Something to celebrate. Mama, Maya said, tugging gently on her mother's sleeve with the persistence that only children can muster. Can I tell Miss Oprah about my wish? The commercial break was ending. Producers were signaling for Oprah to return to her mark, their gestures becoming increasingly urgent as the seconds ticked away. The next segment was ready to begin. A cooking demonstration featuring heart-healthy recipes for busy families, complete with a celebrity chef who had been flown in from Los Angeles specifically for this taping. The set was prepared, the ingredients arranged, and millions of viewers were expecting to learn about nutrition and wellness. But something in Maya's voice, something in the way she said, "My wish," made Oprah pause. What kind of wish? Oprah asked, settling more comfortably beside Maya's seat. Despite the growing urgency of the production team, Maya looked at her parents, seeking permission with her eyes. David nodded, though his throat felt tight with emotion. He had learned over the past 18 months that his daughter possessed a kind of emotional intelligence that sometimes left him breathless. She seemed to understand things about love and sacrifice and beauty that he was still learning at 35 years old. I have a birthday wish, Maya said, her voice taking on the serious tone she used when discussing important matters. But it's not for me. It's for my mama. The words hung in the air between them, creating a moment of such profound stillness that even the bustling activity of the television studio seemed to pause. Oprah felt something shift inside her, the way it always did, when she encountered a moment that transcended the ordinary boundaries of television entertainment. Behind them, the stage manager was making increasingly urgent gestures, but Oprah had learned over the years to trust these moments, to recognize when something important was happening that couldn't be rushed or scheduled. Tell me about your wish, she said, completely abandoning any pretense of returning to her mark or following the planned program schedule. Maya took a deep breath, gathering her courage in the way that children do when they're about to share something that feels enormous. My mama lost her hair too, she said, reaching up to touch her own pink scarf with gentle fingers. She shaved it all off to match mine when I started getting sick. She said we would be bald and beautiful together, like a team. But now mine is growing back a little bit. She lifted the edge of her scarf to show the finest layer of dark fuzz, beginning to sprout, soft as baby bird down. And hers is growing back too. But she's still sad about it. Lisa Chen's hand flew to her own head, where a similar scarf covered hair that was slowly returning after she had made the impulsive decision to shave it in solidarity with her daughter. It had been an act, born from a mother's desperate desire to shoulder some of her child's burden, to make her feel less alone in her difference. The gesture had been meaningful, but Lisa hadn't anticipated how losing her hair would affect her own sense of identity and femininity. She thinks she doesn't look pretty anymore, Maya continued, her voice taking on the serious tone of someone sharing a profound truth that adults might be too polite to acknowledge. But she's the most beautiful mama in the whole world, even with short hair. Actually, especially with short hair because it shows how much she loves me. So my birthday wish is for her to feel beautiful again, the way I see her. The studio had grown unusually quiet. Even the crew members had stopped their preparations to listen, drawn by the raw honesty of Maya's words. There was something about the child's perspective, spoken with such innocent clarity, that cut through the usual noise and bustle of television production. In that moment, the artificial environment of the studio seemed to fade away, replaced by something more real and immediate. Oprah looked at Lisa Chen, seeing the tears streaming down her face, seeing the raw vulnerability of a mother who had given everything to help her child fight for life. She saw David's protective posture, the way he had positioned himself as if he could shield his family from any additional pain or scrutiny. And she saw Maya, this extraordinary little girl, who was using her birthday wish, not for toys or treats or personal gain, but to heal her mother's wounded spirit, without consulting anyone, without asking permission from producers or checking with network executives. Oprah made a decision that would define this moment forever. Maya, she said, her voice carrying the weight of absolute certainty. What if I told you that your birthday wish might be something we could help with right now? Maya's eyes widened, reflecting the studio lights like pools of starlight. Really? You could do that? Oprah stood up and walked to the center of the stage, her movement fluid and purposeful. The cooking demonstration was forgotten. The scheduled segments were abandoned. The celebrity chef waited in the wings, confused, but respectful of whatever was unfolding. She picked up her microphone and addressed the entire studio, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had built a media empire on the foundation of authentic human connection. Ladies and gentlemen, she announced, we're going to do something special today. We have a very brave little girl in our audience, named Maya Chen, and today is her 9th birthday. The audience began to applaud, but Oprah held up her hand, requesting silence for something more important than mere celebration. Maya has made a birthday wish, but it's not what you might expect. Maya's wish isn't for herself. It's for her mother, and I think we can help make that wish come true. She gestured for Maya and her parents to join her on stage. David carefully lifted Maya from her seat, his movements gentle and protective, and together the family made their way to the front of the studio. The audience watched in respectful silence, sensing that they were about to witness something significant, something that would stay with them long after they left the studio. Once they were settled on stage, Oprah knelt down beside Maya again, bringing herself to the child's eye level. Can you tell everyone about your wish? Maya looked out at the sea of faces, suddenly aware of the magnitude of the moment, but determined to honor her mother with her words. My mama is beautiful, she said, her small voice carrying clearly through the studio's sound system. She shaved her hair to match mine when I got sick, and now she thinks she doesn't look pretty. But I want her to know that she's the most beautiful mama in the world, and her hair doesn't change that. The audience stirred, moved by the child's simple eloquence and the profound love it represented. But Oprah wasn't finished. She had recognized something in this moment that transcended entertainment, something that spoke to fundamental truths about beauty, sacrifice, and love. Maya, she said, there's something I want to share with you and your mother. Something that I think might help your birthday wish come true. She paused, her hand moving to her own hair, styled in its familiar sophisticated waves. What she was about to do was unprecedented, unplanned, and completely contrary to every rule of television production. But sometimes she had learned over decades of broadcasting, the most important moments required breaking all the rules. You know what, Maya? Hair is just hair. What makes someone beautiful isn't what's on their head, it's what's in their heart. And your mama has the most beautiful heart I've ever encountered. She turned to face Lisa Chen directly, seeing the woman's vulnerability and strength in equal measure. But if wearing a scarf makes you feel less beautiful, then maybe we should do something about that. What happened next would be talked about for years, analyzed by media critics, and remembered by viewers as one of the most genuine moments in television history. Oprah reached up and began to remove her own hair. The audience gasped as they realized it was a wig, a perfectly styled, expensive wig that was part of her professional television persona. Underneath was her own hair, much shorter and more natural than her on-screen image usually revealed. Hair is just hair, she repeated, holding the wig in her hands like an offering. But love, the love you've shown your daughter, the courage you've displayed, the sacrifice you've made, that's what makes you beautiful. She walked over to Lisa Chen and, with infinite gentleness, helped her remove her scarf. Lisa's hair was indeed growing back, a soft cap of dark waves that framed her face with unexpected elegance. The audience could see that she was beautiful, that she had always been beautiful, but they could also understand how losing her hair might have shaken her confidence. "Look at you," Oprah said, her voice filled with wonder. "You are absolutely radiant." But she wasn't finished. Taking her wig, she placed it gently on Lisa's head. "This is yours now," she said. "Not because you need it to be beautiful. You're already beautiful. But because sometimes we all need a reminder that we can choose how we want to feel about ourselves." The audience was on its feet now, applauding not just the gesture, but the profound love they had witnessed. Maya clapped her hands together, her face shining with joy at seeing her birthday wish come true in ways she had never imagined possible. "Do you feel beautiful now, Mama?" Maya asked. Lisa Chen, wearing Oprah's wig, but radiating a beauty that came from somewhere much deeper, knelt down and pulled her daughter into her arms. "I feel beautiful because I have you," she whispered. "I've always been beautiful because I have you." But the magic wasn't over. Oprah had one more surprise, born from the spontaneous joy of the moment. "Maya," she said, "since it's your birthday, I think we need to make this day even more special. How would you like to have a birthday party right here, right now, with all these people helping us celebrate?" Maya's eyes grew round with amazement. "A real party? With cake and everything?" "A real party," Oprah confirmed, and the audience erupted in approval. What followed was unlike anything that had ever happened. On the Oprah Winfrey Show, the production team, abandoning all pretense of scheduled programming, quickly arranged for a birthday cake to be brought from the studio commissary. The audience sang "Happy Birthday" to Maya with an enthusiasm that seemed to lift the roof of the studio. Oprah led everyone in a celebration that was spontaneous, joyful, and completely authentic. As Maya blew out her candles, she made a second wish, this one just for herself. Later, she would tell her parents that she had wished for more birthdays, more chances to celebrate life with the people she loved. The episode, when it aired 3 weeks later, became one of the most watched in the show's history, not because of any celebrity guests or dramatic revelations, but because viewers had witnessed something rare and precious, a moment when television became a window into the human heart. But perhaps the most remarkable outcome wasn't captured by the cameras. In the months that followed, Maya's cancer continued to retreat. Her hair grew back thick and lustrous. She celebrated her 10th birthday at home, surrounded by family and friends, cancer-free and full of life. Lisa Chen kept Oprah's wig in a special place in her bedroom, not because she needed it anymore, but because it reminded her of the day she learned that beauty isn't something you lose, it's something you choose to see in yourself and others. And Oprah, who had built a career on helping people find their best selves, realized once again that the most powerful moments happen not when we follow the script, but when we follow our hearts. Maya's birthday wish had come true in ways she never could have imagined. She had wished for her mother to feel beautiful again, and in doing so, she had reminded everyone in that studio, and everyone who watched, that true beauty lies not in perfection, but in love, courage, and the willingness to share our hearts with the world. The birthday party ended, but the love it celebrated continued to grow, rippling outward in ways that no one could have predicted. Because sometimes, the greatest gift we can give isn't something we buy or make. It's the gift of seeing someone else's beauty and reflecting it back to them with such clarity that they begin to see it themselves. In that moment, under those bright lights, surrounded by the warmth of human connection, a television studio became a place of healing, a stage became an altar of love, and a child's birthday wish became a reminder that the most powerful magic in the world is the magic we create when we choose to celebrate each other. The show went on, but it was forever changed. And so was everyone who witnessed the moment, when entertainment stopped, and real life, real love, and real celebration took center stage.